2022 was a bit of an ugly year. Was it the changes or was it the speed in which those changes were made that halted what we've seen happening in the real estate market? In order to understand 2022, let's go over a few of those changes that most impacted the real estate industry before I go over the predictions for 2023 and 2024. Number one, the GDP. One of the most important stats that we need to know is the gross domestic product. Collectively, how productive are we as a nation? America is a very productive country, with our unemployment rate being the best it's been in 50 years at only 3.7%. That's amazing. I grew up in a country, Spain, where the unemployment rate since the year I was born has been on average 16.36%, reaching an all-time high of 27% in 2013. So again, we are a very productive nation. Having said that, our labor participation rate of 62.2% is also the lowest it's been in 45 years. This statistic is very important to understand because it impacts our gross domestic product. If people are not participating in the workforce, they're not being productive in regards to general labor. Prior to the pandemic, the rate was over 65%. During the pandemic, there was a ton of money that was put into the system, trillions of dollars. And that money turned into appreciation in assets like stocks, real estate, and cash. So what happened was people that were thinking of retiring in 5, 7, or 10 years, all of a sudden are going through social anxiety of being cooped up. For instance, people here in Boston are inside their apartments, not able to any longer enjoy the amenities of the city and are seeing their stocks get high. Their real estate portfolios are worth significantly more, and they also were giving cash, PPP money for their businesses. They're also seeing areas in other parts of the country like Florida or even here in the South Shore and Cape Cod with less restrictions as the city, where they can buy an amazing house for a third of the money you can buy something in Boston. So people decided to move out of town, out of the state, and out of the workforce. Jerome Powell, the Fed chairman, said 2/3 of the working shortfall is from people that took early retirement, and those people are not coming back. There were also people that got sick, obviously an increased death rate, and also people that became socially anxious around work. We have a low participation rate in employment, and that is important to pay attention to. America has a stronger economy than anywhere else in the world. The opportunities are better than anywhere else in the world. However, it's just not as good as it used to be. It's still the best, but not as good. Number two is inflation. Inflation is bad news. I once heard it being described as a 3% hole in the bucket. If you stay there long enough, eventually 100% of the water will be out of the bucket. Inflation empties net worth, it empties assets, it makes earnings less valuable, it makes everything more expensive, and it crushes especially the bottom third of the economy, the people most exposed. The Fed is trying to get their arms around inflation. Core inflation rate is still 6%. They have raised the rates as fast as they can, which has sort of stopped things but not yet reduced the rate. We are expecting possibly 2 more rate hikes in 2023, which shouldn't come as a shock to anyone and therefore not halt the market that much. Ideally, we will see rate hikes stop by mid next year. By third quarter, rates will start to come down and inflation pop back down. Higher unemployment rates help inflation, and we are seeing companies, especially in the real estate and tech industries, doing layoffs. The Fed's goal is 2% inflation. At that rate, the economy can grow. If we can get that rate by 2024, it means mortgage rates will be in the 4%. That's why we are advising people to still buy and then refinance. If you can get into a program that you can be comfortable at for the next 18 months, we are probably going to end up in the 4s by the end of 2024 and then you can refinance. Thirdly, let's talk about housing affordability. With much higher interest rates, for a middle income family to buy a middle price home here in America, it used to be that people earning $50,000, $60,000, they could buy a starter home. Not today. Higher interest rates imply that a family today needs about $85,000 in income to buy a starter home. This is the reason why we're seeing a decline in pending contracts. 35% right now is the percentage of salary towards a mortgage. And the good news is that by 2025, that should fall down to 30%, and by 2030, they're predicting that should fall to 25%. So that's encouraging. That is, of course, no other national disasters or wars in the next 8 years or so. An important question is, how do we get more builders to build with less regulation, as lack of new construction is a key segment affecting inventory. Again, 2022 was an ugly year for our industry. So what is going to happen to housing prices in 2023 and 2024? In a recent interview, the National Association of Realtors chief economist, Dr. Lawrence Young, said that for this year, data is indicating once all the numbers are in, median home prices will be roughly 10% above last year. People that bought last year are definitely seeing again. And yes, some people that bought in the spring and summer of 2022 are now seeing some price declines. Inflation and house affordability are the leading causes of that. But historically speaking, for the last 100 years, owning real estate has always been the greatest asset to have as a hedge against inflation. Ask anyone that bought a home in the 70s what the value of their home is today. So for 2022, the numbers are a 15% drop in sales, but ultimately a 10% gain in home appreciation. Not bad, considering the fast and unexpected rise of interest rates. For 2023, Dr. Young is predicting unit sales will come down about 7%. Prices to stay basically flat. The transplant estates and estates with lower taxes will continue to do well and outperform the national average. And for 2024, they are forecasting a 10% increase in sales and a 5% increase in prices. So while we may be hearing a lot of gloom and doom news out there, the National Associations of Realtors chief economist indicates possibly 2023 to be less of a shocker for homeowners than 2022 was, with 2024 being back to a growth year with lower rates and inflation. So overall, we're heading in the right direction, and data indicates the worst might be behind us. As always, if you're looking to buy or sell a house anywhere in the South Shore or Cape Cod, my team and I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. You can reach me at susana@alanterealestate.com. Oh, and before you leave, don't forget to subscribe, as I do post more information with market updates and general home buying and home selling tips on a weekly basis here for the South Shore and Cape Cod. See you at the next one.